Hey everybody, this is David Branderhorst, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to sell more books. Now before we get started, if you could remember to hit that like and subscribe button to be notified of future content, we would greatly appreciate it. Now I work with a lot of authors, and one of the primary questions I always get from them is, how do I sell more books? Which is perfectly understandable, because if you're an author, you put in a lot of time and effort to create that book, and you don't want to just sitting in boxes in your garage. You want to get it out into the world. You want to get paid for your writing, and you want to be able to have your message be read and have it be appreciated by people out in the world. Now, today we're going to be talking about 4 strategies that you can use to go out and get more book sales. And these are things that you can do to really give yourself a bigger edge to get more exposure into more sales of your book. Now, the first thing we're going to be talking about is actually one that involves before you write the book. So this is a strategy that you need to be thinking about and employing before you've even written the book, because it's very important that you get this piece right, or otherwise you've already positioned yourself for failure if you don't think this part through. And that is, choose your topic wisely. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of times you're going to write a book and you're going to put a book out there, and that book, let's be honest with you, there's only a few hundred people out there that are going to be interested in it. It may be a book about the history of your immediate family. Well, that's great. And maybe you wrote that so that it can be served as a piece of history, keeping all the things, all the information about your family's history and all those things in an organized form so that future generations can read it. But the reality is, the world as a whole, more than likely, unless you're a famous family, is not going to be interested in reading that book. It doesn't have broad appeal. It doesn't have a broad foundation of interest in that topic. It's only going to be relevant to a few people in your immediate family. So how do you do that? How do you know if your idea has broad appeal? Well, let's look at a couple of ways. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to go and I want you to search Amazon. I want you to go on Amazon's platform and I want you to search. And I want you to search for a couple different things. One, I want you to search for how many books are written on this topic, if there's lots and lots of books written on this topic. And number 2, how well do those books sell? Are those books, are there quite a few books on the topic? And are there lots of book sales on that topic? Now, 30, 40 years ago, you would say, well, there's already lots of books on this topic. I shouldn't write on this. I shouldn't write on because it's already been covered. Well, the truth is, almost every subject, except for the brand new, like technology, cutting edge type books, or maybe current event type books that are written as history keeps, it keeps evolving and happening. Except for those types of books, almost every subject has been covered in some way, shape, or form. So what we're really looking for here is validation that there's interest in this subject. Are there people out there that are saying, yes, I want to learn more about this topic. I want to learn more about how to do this, how to solve this problem, how to do this thing that I want to learn more about. And so you want to validate that. Number 1, are there quite a few books on the topic? And B, are those books selling? Because if the answer to both of those questions is yes, that's a good sign. Now, the second thing I want you to do is I want you to go and search on Google Keyword Planner. I want you to go to that. Now, if you haven't used Google Keyword Planner in the past, just search for it on Google and it'll pull it up. But what that gives you the opportunity to do is search for keywords and key phrases. And what you can do is go on there and search for keywords and phrases that are related to the potential topic of the book you want to write. And if those phrases and keywords start pulling up and you see like, oh man, every month, hundreds of thousands of people are searching for this topic, or tens of thousands, or even millions of people are searching for this topic every single month, that's a great sign. That means there's lots of people out there who are interested in learning more about this topic. They're very interested in solving this problem and figuring out more information on this. That's a great sign. However, if you look for your phrase and you search for it and you see very, very few, maybe only a couple thousand a month are searching Google for those words and those phrases, that's a bad sign. That means there really isn't a lot of interest out there. Out of all these 7-8 billion people on the planet, there's very, very few, only a couple thousand every month are searching for this. That's not a good sign. That tells you that the vast majority of the world just simply isn't interested in that subject matter. So think about it from that way. Use Google Keyword Planner as a tool to validate whether or not there's a lot of interest in that topic. Now, the third thing I want you to think about is, do you have a better idea or approach to the subject matter that you're going to be writing on? That is very, very important. Now, why do I bring that up? Many times what I see in people is when they do this type of thing, they are out there and they are, for example, they're writing on a certain topic, they're doing certain things, and they're just regurgitating what everyone else has written. They're saying, yes, well, there's there's books on this, that, and the other thing, and I'm just basically going to rewrite and rehash what everyone else said. No, that isn't a bad idea. That is a really bad approach to doing this, because people are going to say, you're going to see it in your comments quickly, there's nothing new here. This is just the same stuff that's in every other book. Just read the bestsellers in this category, and that's all you need. You don't need to bother with this book, because it's the same thing as what everyone else is saying. So no, you need to go in and you need to make sure that you're giving a fresh idea, a fresh approach, a fresh way of looking at the problem, so that you are giving them a way to see things that they wouldn't otherwise see them, and giving them a way to solve things that they wouldn't otherwise consider. So it's a reason for them to read your book instead of just reading the other ones. And if you have a fiction book, think about your genre. Think about the way stories are written in your genre. Are you going to just write them the exact same way that all the other ones are? Or are you going to come up with a fresh angle and approach to writing in this type of book? Are you going to come up with a fresh way of positioning it, a fresh way of telling your story that's going to be different than what everyone else is doing? Same type of thing, except in the world of fiction. Now, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is becoming an ambassador for your book. Now, again, this is something that I see a lot as well. Becoming an ambassador for your book. Now, I look at this and I go, this is something that I see all the time. People will write their book and they'll say, okay, that's done. Once the book is published and out into the world, I'm done. I am done. And I look at them going, really? You did all the work to get the book out into the world, but now you're not going to do any work to let people know the book exists? And if you don't let the world know that your book exists, more than likely, everyone's never going to find it. They're never going to hear about it. They're not going to be aware that this book is even out there, because the truth is there are millions of books produced every single year. And if you're not letting anyone know that your book exists, it's going to get lost in all the noise. So one of the things I want you to think about, and one of the things I want you to do, first and foremost, is I want you to seek out speaking opportunities, especially if you're selling a nonfiction book. Now, why do I say that? Because I've seen this happen and work for people again and again and again. Time and time again, I see this happen is somebody will have a book on a certain topic. Then they will get invited to speak to a certain group, and they'll go up and they'll talk and they'll give their speech. And at the end of their speech, they'll say, hey, I actually also wrote a book on this subject matter. And if you'd like to come and purchase a copy of the book, I'll even sign it for you. And then they stand in the back of the room and they sell lots of copies of their book. And these aren't books that you're selling on Amazon. These are books that you're selling directly, so you make more money on them. And it's a great way for you to be able to get a lot more book sales. It's a great way for you to be able to get a lot more direct sales of your book, because people are hearing you speak on it. They know you're an expert. They know you have a lot of skill in this area, and they've sat and listened to your speech. Now they're much more excited to go out and buy a copy of your book and read even more on what you just shared. Now, the second idea I have and the second strategy I have on all of this is getting on podcasts. Now, podcasts are something that people tend to not appreciate enough. It's one of those things where, again, if you want to get your book out there, if you want to get your book on different in front of different audiences, they need to hear about it. They need to know that your book exists. They need to know that it's out there. So a great way of doing that is finding people in your niche, finding people that are in your market, and asking them if you could be a guest on their podcast, and reaching out to them and seeing if you could get on there and letting them know that you have a book. And so then every time you get on these podcasts, if you're getting on these interviews and they're talking to you and you talk about your book and the things that you've done and that you've written and that you've produced, all of a sudden, a whole new audience of people who hadn't heard of you before is suddenly exposed to your message and to your book. And you're getting lots of ways that you can come up with new audiences who are now saying, wow, I need to go and check that book out. I need to hop on Amazon and go buy a copy because that sounds really, really interesting. And again, it's all about exposing your book, exposing your message to new audiences so they can become aware of what it is that you've created. Now, the next strategy in all this is to build your own following. Again, something that is more work. It does take a little more effort to do that, but at the long run, this is the most powerful way of doing it. Because think about this. If you had a Facebook group with several thousand people in it, if you had an email list with several thousand people on it, and you let them know about your book and you let them know about the book that just got published, you can simply send an email. You can simply post in your Facebook group and let them know, hey, I just published a new book right here, right, and it's all right here, available right now. You can go get a copy on Amazon or wherever, or get it directly from you, and you're going to get lots of book sales right there simply by doing that. That is something that, again, it takes a little more work to build a following and to produce things and to get people to engage with you at that level, but it's worth it, because if you do that and you build your own following, you don't have to ask someone else's permission to promote your book. You don't have to get on someone else's platform. You have your own. And the bigger and better you can make your own platform, the easier it's going to be for you to be able to sell your book. You can simply promote it, and you can promote it however often you want. Don't be obnoxious about it and turn everyone off, obviously, but you can promote your book multiple times and you will get quite a few sales depending on the size of your audience. So that is an extremely powerful way to do it. Now, our third strategy that I want to share with you is one that most people don't even think about, and that is managing your Amazon listing well. Now, this is something that simply people just don't take into account well enough. They're just not doing a good enough job on this, to be perfectly honest with you. They're not going out and listing their book on Amazon in a way that's giving them the kind of bang for the buck that they really need. And I'm going to switch over to Amazon here for just a second to show you an example of what I mean. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is a book that I found on canning. So this is a book called The Complete Guide to Pressure Canning. So this is a book, it's been out for a while. And as you're going to see right here, this is a book that's got 10,000 ratings. This is a book it's a #1 bestseller. It's got 10,000 ratings. It's done really, really well. But I want you to notice something here. As you scroll down in the book, this section right here, popular highlights in the book, they have a couple of images right here with different things that are from in the book. There's this from the publisher section of the book, which has all of these images in it. And you're going to see this makes this book come alive. This makes this book become very real. It makes it look like, wow, this is actually something this is cool. This is really, really good. Look at all this. This is very engaging. And if you look down here, this book is, in all of books, number 916. So this is in the top 1,000 of all books being sold on Amazon. And you notice their listing here is really well done. They realize a very simple fact, and that is your Amazon listing is your sales page for your book. This is the sales page for your book. Now, I want to show you another example. This is a very similar book on canning. It's a canning book for beginners. And again, if you look, this book is $12 in paperback. This book is $5. So this one is even a lot cheaper, but you'll notice this one only has 121 ratings. And as we go down here, you'll see there is nothing. There is nothing from the publisher. There is no additional information. They did the bare minimum of putting information about their book. So when people come here, there's no compelling imagery. There's no compelling copy. There's no compelling things to really make them go. And if you look, their bestseller rank, there's 277,000. This book is on the exact same topic and the exact same niche, but it is getting nowhere near the same amount of sales. And I will tell you, more than likely, it's because of their page. You go to the page and it's minimal information. It's not compelling. It doesn't get the potential buyer excited about what they're going to learn in the book. It's very, very basic and bare bones. So that is a critical error on the part of the author. You have to remember that your Amazon listing is a sales page. You have to show the value of your book. You have to show people and give them a reason why they should get excited about buying your book. If you do the bare minimum, people are going to look at it and not get excited. They're not going to understand why they should do that. And many of those images you can create in Canva, or you can hire somebody on Fiverr to help you make those images. It's not that hard to get something, good quality images created and put together on there. And if you do so, you're going to do a lot of good in terms of getting your book in a much more attractive place and getting your buyers a lot more excited about buying it. Now, the next tip I want you to think about is potentially running Amazon ads. Now, Amazon ads, you may or may not be aware, Amazon allows you to run ads on their platform. And essentially what it is, and they're not terribly expensive, and I'm not going to take the time to go into all of that here right now, but what Amazon ads are is if you have a book, you can pay so that anytime someone searches a certain word or a certain keyword or phrase, your book can show up higher in the listings so that people see it more. So if your book's way down at the bottom of the listings, it's going to be hard to sell because they're going to have to scroll through 20 other books before they even see yours. And you're going to be way too far down on the totem pole. So doing some ads can boost your sales. Now you have to do the economics of it and you have to test it to see if the amount of money that you can get in extra sales is worth the cost of the ads. But I would certainly at least encourage you to learn how to do it and to consider that as an option to get more book sales. Now, the last option with this is incentivize reviews of your book. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, one of the things we know on Amazon is if you have lots of reviews on your book and you get lots of people saying, yes, I've read it, I've done this, I've done that, this is great, that means Amazon's looking at it going, wow, these are lots of people are reading this book. We should show this book higher up in the search results because lots and lots of people are reviewing it, giving positive feedback to it. This is great. These, apparently our customers like this book, so we should show it more. Now, how can you do that? Because, you need verified readers and so forth of the book. Well, what you can do is you can have times where you can put your book on sale. You can reduce the price of your book. And during those times, you can offer to give people hey, if you buy a copy of my book and you write a review of the book, I will give you this free training. I will give you this free resource. I will give you this bonus. So all you need to do is buy a copy of my book, show me, send me a screenshot with showing you that you posted a review of the book. And in doing so, I will email you this resource, this guide, this training, whatever it is that you want to incentivize them with. There are ways to provide some motivation for people to write a review. So you incentivize them. You give them a reason to go out and put more and say, yes, I'm willing to put a review down. I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to do that because I want that extra bonus that you're giving me for doing so. That sounds really interesting and really good. And all you need, tell them, at least read the first few chapters. to get a good feel for the book, and then write a review and send me a link to the review, and then I will send you the bonus. I will send you this extra resource. That's a great way to get a lot more reviews on your stuff. You can do that, post it on social media, in different Facebook groups. If you find a group that will allow you to do that, you can even use it in other people's groups that aren't yours. And again, you send it out to your email list if you have an email list. But these are great ways to get a lot more reviews of your book. And again, you can drop the price for a short period of time, incentivize people to buy a copy of it right now so they show up as a verified purchase. And then when they provide a review, you give them a bonus. And that, again, will increase your book sales, and it will also increase your reviews, which is going to move you up the stack in the search results. Now, the fourth and the last thing I want to share with you on this is packaging your books with other products and services. One of the main reasons people come to me all the time and say, David, I want to be able to sell more books. Well, why is that? Because they want to be able to generate income from their writing. And I get all of that. I fully appreciate that and I fully understand that. But here's the thing you have to know. Typical books, now again, it depends on what kind of a book you have and the price point of what you're selling your book for. But on average, books tend to generate $2 to $4 in profit for each book that you sell. Now, that's fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to get a full-time income from that, you have to sell thousands and thousands of copies of your book. And you have to do it consistently. You have to continue doing that if you're going to be able to make enough money to live off of your writing. So that can be tough. That takes a lot of work. That takes a big platform. That takes a lot of things to make this something that you can do full time, that you have enough books generating enough sales, because the profit margins and the dollar amount of commissions that you're getting from your book are not that terribly high. So how else can you do this? How else can you create more income from your content so that you can become a full-time content creator? Well, one of the things I always recommend is consider creating a course, because while a book can generate $2 to $4 in profit, a book plus a course can generate several $100s of profit. Now, some of you I know are saying, well, I have fiction books. I can't do a course with a fiction book. And I'm going to tell you baloney. And I actually have another video out there that I've done that deals with that specifically. So I'm not going to go and do that all again here. But I want you to go and search for that video, because I can show you exactly how to create a course from a fiction book. If you want to go down that path, I show you exactly how that can work for you. You absolutely can. And courses can sell for a couple $100s to thousands of dollars, depending on the subject matter that you're working in and the expertise and how difficult it is and how complex the problem is that you're solving. So that can turn into, from a $2 to $4 profit, you can create a course on essentially the same content, just giving video training, giving workbooks, giving application pieces, bringing in extra resources that maybe you couldn't pull into the book. And suddenly you're selling that same type of content for several $100s. And the third way that you can do this is consider adding coaching. Now, coaching, if you have a course, you can add several $100s in profit to every customer that buys. If you have coaching, you could potentially add several $1,000s in profit. Now, think about that. If you've ever coached someone one-on-one, again, depending on the subject matter and the type of coaching that you're doing, that easily, if they are with you for any extended period of time, that could easily turn into several $1,000s in coaching fees. So again, using the same type of content, using the same stuff that you wrote in the book, the same type of stuff that you've used. And again, you can coach based on content from nonfiction books as well, just making it applicable to someone's life. It works. Again, check out my other video on fiction book into courses if you disagree or you doubt me, because I will show you that it is possible. But all of this can turn into a lot more money with the exact same content. We've done it historically in the past. We have turned a book into a course, into a coaching program, and we've taken that book and turned it into hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. And 90% of the revenue, probably 8% of the revenue didn't come from the book. The book was the foundation. The courses and the coaching on top of it were what generated the real income. So I want you to think about that. And I have a couple of things I want you to look at and think about. I have a book funnel in a box course that you can go through if you want to learn how to stack all this in a book funnel. You just simply go to bookfunnelinabox.com. There's a free training there that you can watch and learn exactly how to do all of this. Or otherwise, we have a coaching program called Design, Launch, Grow, which helps you do this, which helps you, we bring you through the entire process. We show you exactly how to position your content so that you can sell it and you can earn an income from the things that are close to your heart, from the message that's important to you. And you can take your content and not just have it in a book that sits on a shelf unread, but you can turn it into something that becomes a full-time income for you. So those are the 4 tips. I know that if you follow these 4 tips, you will significantly increase the income that you're getting from your writing. These are things that are proven, that have been done hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of times by people all over the world, to take their content and turn it into not only a full-time income, but many times multi-million-dollar businesses. So if you have questions, as always, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope you found all this helpful, and I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you very soon. Take care, everybody.